Welcome, everyone. I'll wait for a couple people to file in. I'll introduce myself. My name is Zora. I'm Chief Commercial Officer at Verisk Marketing Solutions. We're a newly formed business unit within Verisk Analytics, which is a 50-year-old insurance analytics company based here, actually in Jersey City. So I lead the customer teams for Verisk Marketing Solutions. We specialize in consumer identity data, behavioral data, and effectively we put together profiles and better risk selection criteria for our clients who primarily operate in financial services. And I am joined here by Soumitra. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. Yeah, I'm Soumitra. I lead sales and marketing decision science for personal insurance at Travelers, which is one of the largest property and casualty insurers in America. So,
thank you. So our session title is An AI Journey, Navigating Change and Opportunity at Travelers. And when you think about insurance, I'm sure you're all thinking about change and opportunity. Insurance is a fascinating vertical. I'm pretty new to the vertical, given the acquisition was completed a few years ago. So I'm going to lean on Soumitra here to give a little bit of a history lesson. But Travelers, based on what I learned from my AI, 165-year-old business, issued its first auto insurance policy in 1898 to a gentleman here in New York for $5,000. That's the beauty of AI. It'll teach you a lot in a little bit of time. So why don't you tell them a little bit more, maybe something more interesting about Travelers than what I just told them, and how are you unique from other insurance brands that we've all heard of?
Sure, yeah. One fun fact I'll add, Travelers was the insurer that insured our first ride to the moon. So Apollo 9, 11?
I'll have to ask the AI. I have no idea.
I think you may have heard about a lot of consumer-facing insurance companies. You know, the most famous Lizard is there. You have, other Jakes who goes and talks and
Emus.
Exactly, Jakes out there. So, but there are others out there as well who are, not very consumer-facing. We do majority of our businesses. Our name appears more behind the computer screens of agents in their brick-and-mortar offices rather than on tablets, on TVs, or mobile phones in front of consumers. So that's why we are different, and that's why you may not have heard about us. By the way, show of hands, how many of you heard about Travelers? Oh, there's quite a few. I'm actually surprised because our brand survey results don't tell this story, and that's part of the reason we are here.
They're all marketers. I feel like they've heard of that.
Exactly, not my typical sample size, right? Yeah. So, how we do business isn't, direct to consumer. We do like to do our businesses through the agents. So, in a way, this has changed a little bit because recently there has been an emergence of, I would say, more direct to consumer brands going to that independent agent channel, which has been our predominant channel, how we do business. So likes of Progressive, likes of Allstate, Farmers, all are going into an independent agency to play their game. And that's where our brand presence has become a little bit more important because now, based on our surveys and all, we've heard that consumers prefer, or agents prefer to place their business with consumers when the consumers know of the brand, right? So to us, it's a changing dynamic. It's a place where we feel we need to up our game, and that's where we're relying on AI and brand, leaning on our brand, the 160-year-old storied brand we have, and leaning onto the storyline and try to elevate it. So.
Yeah, and I feel like, Travelers and Verisk have a long-standing partnership. Our CEO, Lee Shavel, tells a really wonderful story. He stepped in the CEO role a couple years ago and had the opportunity to have dinner with Alan Schnitzer, the CEO of Travelers. And Alan walks up to the table to Lee and hands him a red umbrella. Everybody here knows the red umbrella. Hands him a red umbrella, and he says, "This this represents the Traveler's Promise and our shared promise as partners to serve our customers, the community, and each other. So Travelers has this amazing commitment to partnerships, its agents, and also the end customer, the end user experience, which I think is just a really great demonstration of brand in a way that carries through the entire organization and the culture that they've built. And that little red umbrella sits behind Lee in every single video conference that I see him in today. So it worked. Let me ask, what are some of the other philosophies, the other kind of points of view that Travelers operates by when it comes to, like, when you think about AI and the ethical and profitable use of that and consumer identity data and consumer data?
Sure, absolutely. So as many of you know, financial services is a highly regulated industry. So, AI, we have to keep this in mind in context of model risk framework that many of the financial services company may be familiar with. Our sales and marketing, decisioning, and all the analytics that we do actually is governed by the same framework as is pricing and underwriting, which is core to our business. So we have a responsible AI model that actually is a part of the model risk management framework, and all of the governance principles of transparency, responsibility, people centricity. All of these are core foundation tenets of that principle, and we abide by them.
Yeah, and a lot of, I would say, insurance, no more heavily regulated industry that I've worked with than insurance specifically. So I think the brand marketers in the room here would appreciate, taking a page out of the book of some of the data governance and compliance programs that we've put on the ground. And I feel like now, the conversation has really shifted for the marketer into a discussion around risk. What is the risk of incorporating these third-party data sources? Do I trust this? This was said earlier in a different panel, but the level of trust and transparency that you have with your data provider is paramount above all else, above fill rates, above match rates. It's the fact that you can use the data with some assurances that you can scale your business with it.
Absolutely, and it goes not only with models and other things, but also data. I think we have, there's AI is getting used predominantly in the financial services space in pricing and operations. In terms of sales and marketing, though, it also, AI can impact not only your creative development, not only can impact your targeting, but also behind the scenes, your sales operations, your marketing operations. A lot of the work that is happening, I would say, on automation side of the house, there's a lot of decisioning that is getting done in the back offices that you may not be familiar from a sales and marketing lens, and AI is going to transform them, and we can get a lot of ROI out of those as well.
Absolutely. We were talking in the lobby before, and I said, when I'm trying to thread the needle on a conversation about insurance with a different vertical, all marketing is gaining efficiencies, right? Like, you're trying to gain efficiencies through your creative, through your conversions, through audience selection, through any means necessary to deliver on ROAS. But when we're talking about AI, like, that enables overhead cost efficiencies and back office cost efficiencies and things that I think a marketer has never really been able to leverage as much as they are today. So let's move over to a different line of questioning I have for you. I think insurance is having a bit of a PR issue right now. We've had several years of increased inflation, higher interest rates. We're observing climate change and natural disasters having a disproportionate impact on certain carriers in certain states specifically. And I think the current social and political climate around insurance feels a little bit more contentious than it's ever been. So what is yours, or rather, what is Travelers' point of view on some of these headwinds we're facing, and how are you tackling those directly with your consumers and with your agents?
Yeah, I think I agree with you. There's lots of headwinds that we're trying to tackle. And a lot of it has to do with, we have a strong regulatory framework. We operate under a strong regulatory framework. And one of the things that we have to do is get our prices right to be able to sustain in this business, right? That means going in front of the Department of Insurances and making sure that we can raise the rates enough so that we can write business profitably. It also means that we have to now educate our consumers about different aspects of the risks that we are seeing emerge. Maybe you see the LA fires come up. This risk has emerged, and we have to deal with it, right? There's risks that are coming up from increased weather patterns that we see in certain parts of the country. We have to deal with it. We have to take underwriting actions around that. So, of course, this is a highly kind of challenging environment, but for us, our go-to-market has been educate our customers. How can we add value as a brand to them and help them make their day-to-day decisions easier? And that would mean educating them on risk strategies. For example, a couple of years ago, we launched a marketing campaign. No worries. We launched a marketing campaign that educated customers on, before you go on a vacation, shut off your main valve, and that would help reduce claims. If a lot of your customer base does that on an aggregate level, we actually saw multi-million dollars saved by if we have the right message, content pushed through the customers. We actually saw both customers as well as the company save millions of dollars, and it's actually a campaign that won us the Research Foundation ARF Advertising Research Foundation Award as well, and it was well received because we can try a creative that really resonated with the consumer, and it actually made lots of millions of dollars for both the consumers as well as the company.
And fundamentally, I'm going to keep spilling my notes over here because this is such an interesting conversation. So fundamentally, marketing is about educating the consumer, and AI creates just this amazing opportunity to develop, and that content is not inexpensive to develop, to personalize, and to deploy. So I love that story, and congratulations on the award. We talked about the role of data a bit in your function on our pre-call. So as you apply data science and machine learning to make better decisions, what role does data play, and what are kind of the key opportunities and challenges you face as you seek to build out better risk profiles further up the funnel to drive a more profitable down funnel impact?
Absolutely, yeah. As some of you may know who are in the financial services business, we sell a product. At the time of sale, we do not know the cost of goods sold, which is really hard, right? For many consumer-facing products, you actually know the cost of goods sold when you sell it. But for insurance products or for many financial services products such as credit cards, that cost of goods sold is not known. So we have to be very careful about our risk selection, who we target, who we not target, and we have built sophisticated models to understand who we like and who we not like. The challenge for us is to find who we like and who we not like and have that be projected to the universes that are more upstream. Suppose we start off at the lowest of funnels, say our consumer base, and we can segment who we like, who we not like at the policy level holder or a customer base level holder. Now we can go one up to maybe quoters or non-quoters, right, we call it mid-funnel. And then we can go one up to the entire US population, and then we can think through who we like, who we not like. Therein lies the challenge of marketing analytics for us.
And can you share a little bit about, so you said quoters, not quoters. Can you share a little bit about the data sources that inform your middle and your top of funnel tactics?
Absolutely. So in middle funnel, I would say when a lead comes in, maybe on the call center or on the web, we get data from them, personal PII on them, and we enrich them with third-party data assets as well to get more insights out of them, and we can serve them real-time decisioning around, whether we want them. If we want them, we'll obviously funnel them them a different way. If we don't want them, we funnel them a different way to monetize on that lead. If at more upstream, I think, of course, we partner with third parties, marketing vendors, to gain more insights about the demographic from their credit profiles and so forth, and kind of are effective at targeting them efficiently. So
that's great. Can you give us some examples? Can you discuss some successful projects or initiatives that you've deployed, participated in recently?
Yeah,
leveraging AI specifically.
Absolutely. So there are few. I mean, we've been obviously in the journey of machine learning based models for a long time. Because that's in really helping us target audiences that we like. We have to use them. That's kind of table stakes. But I would say because insurance have different levels of expertise, pockets of expertise. When property or when risks emerged for say hurricanes and so forth, we relied on special team members that are very specifically trained on say geospatial tools such as aerial imagery and so forth. We're able to understand, because we have centralized teams that have expertise in aerial imagery or natural language processing or generative AI, we are able to tap into different experts because it's a blessing to be a part of a large corporation where you can tap talents across the board. So we are able to do that from a sales and marketing standpoint. We're able to, as new technologies emerge, we're able to tap to subject matter expertise that sits in different parts of the organization, and yet leverage them to increase the enhanced effectiveness of sales and marketing. So, for example, when our data scientists build models to assess risk of property, how property risk for fires are working, we actually able to take those models and incorporate them into our risk selection as well for marketing. So, those are pretty powerful, and that helps us really get the right audience through the door and makes that marketing dollar go further.
Awesome. Thank you for the example. I'm going to do a quick time check. I don't see the 5. Okay, great. I'm going to ask one more question, then I'll let you ask a question. Audience, I'll let you ask a question because I want to zoom out from the insurance use case specifically. So Verisk, from my perspective, when we talk about data, very horizontal application across many industries. And so maintaining that across many verticals, many different cost equations and channels is our kind of core challenge. And as new channels emerge, new sources of data emerge, new forms of consuming advertising emerge, we have to meet our customers where they are. And so that's kind of our lot to bear. But what are some of the key trends that you see in media and targeting that these brands should be aware of? And how do you see AI just transforming the landscape for the brand marketer in years to come? I want to get your forward-looking perspective.
Sure. Yeah. I'm very bullish about the AI helping us really with personalization, with almost near real time, efficiencies that we can gain from using these technologies. I think that is going to happen, with better technology as well as for better models and better data. But long term is a little bit hard to predict. But my guess is, some sort of agentic platform should emerge, and then rather than somebody talking to us, people may say, buy me an insurance on a chat app or a chat GPT, whatever it may be, and it may help with a lot of pre-populating some of those forms, and it may do decisioning, it may do reasoning through different choices, and it may bind a policy and buy a policy for you. What does it mean for insurance like us? It may mean, rather than, talking to or trying to appease or trying to cut through to a consumer, now you're cutting through to agents. What does it even mean how should we create content that is really, I would say, appealing to an agent, like a robotic agent? It's just weird to think about. I also think, what does it mean for impressions? Is impressions going to be a thing? It may not be a thing. Somebody scraping your information, how do you even, from an analytics standpoint, how do you even track that, right? I think it's all speculation at this point. Who knows how it's going to evolve? But those are real possibilities, is kind of how I see it. And the question is, how are we as marketers, how are we positioning our tech stack? How are we positioning our skill set to be able to adopt to if such a thing becomes a reality?
Absolutely. All right. I will let the audience get maybe one or two questions in with the amount of time we have left. Any questions out there?
Absolutely. So privacy has been key, and I actually have more meetings with my, just fun fact, like with legal partners than I have it with my direct team. Like they're on my, day weekly, at least 2 or 3 meetings I'm having with them. So, and that's one of the things that they obviously will always talk about, and it becomes even more challenging because, as I mentioned before, there are trends that are emerging in the insurance industry where everyone is kind of having their forming second-party relationships. I think that's one of the things that are emerging as well, meaning that we follow when leads comes into us. If we don't like the lead, we kind of give it to second party, and that's where some of the concerns are from a legal standpoint. How are we ensuring that right data is getting transferred, and how we're protecting the consumer? So absolutely, that's becoming important. And if you think about, what models AI and other things will be trained on based on that data, I think it becomes even more challenging. So the onus is on us as marketers to kind of really think through it from a consumer privacy standpoint and from a model governance standpoint as well.
And to answer the question from Verisk's perspective, I think we always say consumer privacy regulation and the risks that come with that they're not headwinds or tailwinds for that matter. They're a constant. And so privacy is woven into absolutely everything we do, how we build our products, how we better serve our clients. So just wanted to throw the Verisk perspective into the mix here a little bit. Any other questions before we wrap this session? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So great question. So as a consumer comes in, we actually start enriching our data more and more. So at the top of the funnel, we have a different set of information. As the consumer fills in, we have a different set of information. And as we almost purchase the policy, we have more different kind of information. At every stage, we are actually enhancing our models as the lead is coming through, and our models become more accurate, and our decisioning even becomes more kind of dialed in as well. So, we have models running pretty much at every transaction, every page hit that a consumer goes through, and that really helps us with pinpointing that decisioning.
And no, go ahead.
That's a great question. That is, right now, a lot of the data is very structured because consumers are filling in form. As you think about the future, how would consumers react or, want to interact with us? It may not be that structured format that you've seen over the years. So we have to definitely keep thinking our tech stack and keep thinking about our data sources very differently to kind of enable that technology.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your point of view on a great brand story with this group. And I think we'll take a quick break before the next session. Thank you guys as well.